scummy. Why are you an asshole? I think I might have said this like once or twice before, I don't know. Oh, scummy. Why are you wasted every day, every single moment, every hour that you're away? I only wish that I had the chance to get it on with Pam Anderson before she lived like my spirit and Danny DeVito, he is my hero. And I'm sorry that I got distracted from what the song's about. Oh, scummy. Why are you such a piece of shit? Okay, maybe you're not a piece of shit, and I'm just jealous. I only wish that I had the chance to get it on with Pam Anderson before she lived like my spirit and Danny DeVito. I still remember when it was safe to go outside. Now I'm so used to gunshots that I sleep through them at night. I'm falling to pieces. We're fighting. We're right about such a wonderful world. The violence is all around such a wonderful world. Don't believe in everything. You hear it all the time. Innocent people die. Whatever happened to us, no value for human life. I'm falling to pieces here. We're fighting. We're right about such a wonderful world. The violence is all around such a wonderful world. Don't believe in everything you hear. Don't believe in everything you Don't believe in everything. We're fighting. We're lights about such a wonderful world. The violence is all around such a wonderful world. Don't believe in everything you hear.
Children behave. That's what they say when we're together. And watch how you play. They don't understand. And so we're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand, trying to get away into the night. And then you put your arms around me and we tumble to the ground. And then you say, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. Look at the way we gotta hide what we're doing. 'Cause what would they say if they ever knew? And so we're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand, trying to get away into the night. And then you put your arms around me and we tumble to the ground. And then you say, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. I think we're alone now.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate age, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, TJ and I are kicking it off. The young gunners should be following along up here in 15-ish minutes or so, if all is to be believed. We'll see how that pans out. But we have got plenty of recappy and news and recent eventy goodness that will hold us over and give him a buffer zone, if you will. Wink, wink. But before we get too deep into that, how the hell are you doing over there, Golf T?
I'm here, ready to talk some shit. To be quite honest, as much shit as I talked about last week's fucking pay-per-view, it really showed me my ass because a lot of those fights, they showed up. I will give them that. And there was a lot of fights on there that did not disappoint after I went back and watched the replay. I was quite thoroughly impressed. Like, there's fight of the year candidate shit going on in there, which was fucking amazing.
Yeah, there really was. We're definitely going to get into some good recappy goodness, because I'll tell you what, for as much shit as, like you said, as much shit as we gave last weekend's card, last weekend overall, I will say, for fucking combat sports, just delivered way above and beyond expectations, is I think the best way to put it. To kick it off, not that there was really any doubt, especially if you saw that fucking press conference with the sunglasses incident. But Canelo beat the fucking brakes off of Plant, stopped him in the 11th TKO. If you watch the video, not only did he stop him, but he drops him clean once and then steps right the fuck away and lets the ref handle his business. Gets up, they get him to 8. Ref checks on him. He says he wants to keep going. He comes back in, and Canelo just fucking unloads and drops him. And as he tries to stand back up the second time, the referee looks at him and just goes, nope, no fucking way. This shit's done. He had no fucking clue where he was. That dude was on Bambi legs for another good 5 minutes, still arguing about the stoppage. Nah, dude, Canelo beat that fucking ass. Not that there was much anticipation otherwise, but Canelo did what Canelo does, man. He was fucking measured. He was composed. He's one of the few people worth legitimately investing your time in watching for the sake of boxing these days, because he gets so fucking down to fundamentals. He loves when dudes get flashy on him because you see the smirk when they try and pull their bullshit, and he literally just hunkers down, guards in, blocks, dodges, steps out of the fucking way. When you miss, fuck you. And Plant had to learn the hard way, but he did. So there was that. To be fair, we kind of mentioned it last week a little bit. There were not a whole lot of big name fights on that Bellator Dublin card, but there were some legitimately good fights on there. I made a point to tell you, fucking Daniel Weichel versus fucking Rafael Carvalho was going to be a fucking banger, and it sure the fuck was. That was a fucking back and forth 3-round fucking war. Those dudes fucking brought it. Hats off rather to both of those fucking gentlemen. That shit was spectacular. I will say I found it a little bit hilarious that when they did the pre-roll for James Gallagher talking about how he left SBG Ireland to come to Kansas City to train at Glory MMA with James Krause, the fucking crowd audibly booed loud as shit. And then the second they say his actual name and the fucking lights hit him, they lost their fucking minds again. And then you watch Gallagher get way too fucking cocky in the ring with a dude that you can't afford to get cocky with, and he gives up his fucking neck. And guess what? Patchy Mitch took that motherfucker home with him. He went in and shut that motherfucker up with his own move in Dublin and silenced that fucking crowd that was just so goddamn rowdy just minutes before, and was still a gentleman about it, was still a good sport about it, after all, knowing damn well that everyone in that fucking arena, for the most part, was there to see the fucking Irish boys take home fucking wins that night. And he already spoiled half of that, so sorry. But no, Gallagher got fucking cocky, and I don't care who the fuck you are, I don't care who the fuck you're fighting, there's a certain point where it goes from having a little fun in the fight to just being stupid. Ask Anderson Silva's fucking leg. Several other great examples, but you know where I'm going with this. Gallagher just happened to use his neck in this situation, and Patchy Mix was like, oh, look, piece of candy, and took it home with him. So there was that. But then, as if that weren't bad enough, to rub a little bit of fucking salt in that freshly opened Dublin wound, Peter Queally comes in, and Patricky just catches him so absolutely perfect with the fucking right hand, and he could never fucking recover from it. When they showed the replays from like all the different angles leading up to the stoppage, that right hand that fucking lands, you see it just completely takes the entire center of balance out of Peter fucking Queally, and then he never let up from there. Beautiful stoppage. He was done. He's another great example of when the stoppage was done, he spent the next few minutes on Bambi legs arguing that he could have kept going. It's like the fucking town drunk stumbling down saying he can handle one more drink, it's okay. No, you were stopped for your own benefit. We're all okay with this. I will say the whole setup of the fucking of Patricio releasing the belt to stop AJ from going up to try and take over as champ, and then them giving Patricky the opportunity to fight for said belt coming in off a loss. It's not like there was no controversy coming in this to begin with, but there was no question that Patricky beat the shit out of Peter Queally, and Peter Queally was not going to be able to recover had that referee given him another few moments of taking the fucking bombs that were getting landed on him at that fucking point. Hats off to Patricky for bringing that belt back to Brazil under his name. I genuinely am in the camp that do hope 100% that they make AJ McKee and Patricio do the rematch next. They don't let him run off and try and immediately go champ. Make him do the immediate rematch against the guy who legitimately held that belt until McKee came along. And then if he wins that and Patricky has a chance to defend his belt and they want to do the champ fight, cool, but let's not get too fucking far ahead of ourselves first. That being said, like we kind of mentioned, this UFC card 268 from MSG, although we did give it a lot of shit, deservedly so, to be fair, going in, really did perform. Before we get into that real quick though, I do want to remind folks that counting the card that we are going to talk about this evening, not the one we're about to recap, but the card we are actually going to break down later on this evening, counting that card, we have 5 UFC events left in 2021. And though we are not paid by, sponsored by, or endorsed in any fashion by the UFC, we are, however, going to finish this year out on the UFC's event schedule, because all of the other major events throughout the rest of the year take place in proximity close enough to all of these UFC events. We will have a chance to talk about all of the ones you will need to know about before we finish the year out. That being said, though, we have this week and we have next week talking about the Vera versus Miesha Tate card, and then we will have a 2-week break coming into the December 4th cards UFC. We will be back on, I believe it's December 1st is the day that we will actually be back, or no, December 2nd. Yeah, December 2nd we will be back. So there will be a break. We will not be back on Thanksgiving Thursday or the following Thursday. We will be back the Thursday after that. The video version of the show goes up a week later in audio podcast form, so you will still have something out there over the break if you need something for background noise. That being said, though, out of the way, 268. Holy fucking shit. Starting right at the fucking tippity top. I think I would literally have to stop talking about fights being broadcasted, period, if we didn't begin right away with that fucking crazy Gian Villante Chris Barnett fight. People vastly underestimate what heavyweights genuinely are capable of. And Chris Barnett, in one of his post-fight interviews, described it so abso-fucking-lutely perfectly. I don't think I've ever heard it said exactly like that before, but there are so many of the big guys that you talk to and they think it's exact same way. He says, my body might be 265 pounds, but mentally I weigh 170, baby. Try and stop me.
That was honestly the greatest fucking answer to a question about being weight that I've ever fucking heard. Like, he
be still my fucking heart, dude.
Not to mention, can we just think of his side? Look, if you guys didn't watch the undercard, understandable. Not everybody understands who Chris Barnett or Gian Villante is. Villante at one point looked like he had some fucking stuff that he might give to the UFC, which is why he was favored going into that fight.
Right.
Everybody looked over Chris Barnett because, to be quite honest, you look at Chris Barnett, he looks like a dude that just came off the fucking couch from playing fucking goddamn video games and decided, oh, let me try this out and see what happens. No, the dude's a legitimate badass. He just had a really tough first fight in the UFC, and now he was able to shine.
Yes, that is a great way to put it.
That fucking kick. Dude, look, a guy that looks like he just came off the couch and ate a bag of fucking Ruffles.
Yeah.
Does not look, you would not think can throw that kind of fucking capoeira kick that he threw in there. And it was beautiful.
And the craziest thing about it, not only did he get a spinning heel kick, his mom gave him shit because they kept calling it a tornado kick and a question mark kick in the commentary. His mom apparently called him after the fight and asked him what the hell was wrong with them commentators. They kept calling it all the bullshit. That is a spinning heel kick. So he landed the spinning heel kick as a fucking 265 heavyweight directly on Gian Villante's fucking head, dropped him immediately. And not only that, but upon getting that knockout stoppage, does a full-on fucking front flip in the octagon, landing right on his ass. That sounds like some WWE shit, like thud.
Yep.
And double horns.
Yeah. The dude was having fun. Like, to be quite honest, the way his interview went, I expect that dude to be at home right now watching fucking old reruns of Dragon Ball Z and possibly throwing together some D&D on the weekends, because you know what, he seems like that kind of cat that's into that stuff, and I'm down with it, man. The dude was fucking he was right on point. And his post after the post fight was all over in the presser. His presser was just a fantastic fucking interview. Unfortunately, I mean, to be honest, coming to the UFC and they throw you into the deep waters with Ben Rothwell right away. Yeah, he did not have an easy starter entry point into the UFC. So I'm glad they kind of went, hey, you know, let's give this guy another shot, because we kind of did fuck him here. And he showed what he's capable of. To be
fair, I was gonna say, and to be fair, not only does he show fight-wise what he's capable of by landing a fucking head kick on Gian Villante that stops him dead in his fucking tracks, then does the back or the fucking front flip in the octagon, then gets on the microphone and yells at the crowd because they weren't cheering loud enough for Gian Villante, and this is his backyard, and he made a point to take his in-octagon interview to give fucking praise and get the crowd to fucking make some noise for Gian Villante.
Yeah, fucking amazing.
So he's a badass, he's a fucking fun-loving dude, and he's a respectful martial artist. That's a deadly combination at fucking heavyweight right now.
Yeah,
there's some fun fights if he gets his feet underneath him right.
Just saying, you look at the top of the list of the heavyweights, and most of them aren't like that right now. To be honest, a good bunch of them towards the top are a bunch of cocksuckers. I'll say it out loud. And not all of them, but there is specifically one in particular who I did like, but I've really lost the fucking liking for because the way he acts now. But yeah, it's good to see that brought back into the heavyweight division and know that he's gonna come in here and get another shot. And I can't wait for what kind of wild shit is next.
I was just gonna say, I can't wait to see what happens when that motherfucker gets back in there next. That's gonna be fun times. I'm quite certain of it. That being said, once again, I feel they would absolutely revoke my ability to host a fucking podcast anywhere on the internet if I went from there and then ignored the following fight after it. The grand introduction of the Irish Takeover Part 2, Ian Gary, the young man who quite literally has modeled his fight career after Conor McGregor, after literally meeting Conor McGregor at 13 years old and telling his mom he wants to be the next Conor McGregor, to which she responded, "You can't, son, we already have one." Conor McGregor tweeted before Ian Gary's fight, "Don't worry, Ian, I remember when my mom told me I couldn't be a fighter either, that I bought her a house with fight winnings." So, like, I get it, dude. I get it. And they showed the picture, and there's this tiny little RJ-esque fucking kid standing next to Conor McGregor, who's all fucking still yoked up and shit. And, you know, then we flash to here's Ian Gary walking out to the fucking UFC and just soaking it in like this is where he's supposed to have been the whole fucking time. And not that Jordan Williams was any kind of a fucking world breaker to try and over fucking hype this kid, but Jordan Williams is a very capable fucking individual. And Ian Gary comes out and does the Conor McGregor-esque step off drawback and fucking lands on him with the smoothest fucking counter that we have seen in so fucking long. It was almost Edson Barboza-esque, if you will, in the fucking precision that he just fucking steps off and perfectly fucking times, and you see the shut off happen. And Jordan is just like, nope, peace the fuck out, and goes to sleep.
And can we talk about the time that he does it at? Right at the very last second of the fucking end of the first.
Literal 4:59 mark of the very first fucking round at the absolute final possible second that you could fucking do that and still get a first round.
How do you cap off your first round in the UFC? In fucking style.
In fucking style, indeed, sir. Yeah, for to make a bold comparison, if I may, this is how you modeled your career off Conor McGregor, and then make that introduction with it. Unlike Gallagher, who is just blatantly a smaller version of Conor McGregor without actually putting in the time and work, and you see how that went. There's a difference when you use one as a role model and you use one as a Xerox machine. I think Ian Gary has a lot more potential than James Gallagher does. If he doesn't let this go to his head and keeps on the even playing field he seems to be pretty capable of doing, this young man has a very bright future. That being said, bringing us into the prelims themselves.
Wild set of prelims.
For all of the early hype that Edmund Shabazian got for being Ronda's ragdoll, he really legitimately still does suffer from a lot of Ronda's same fucking flaws. His head stays on that fucking center line no matter where or how he does move very well, but even when he's moving, his head is in the middle of his body and it's always right there. No matter how he moves, he can't put angles to his fucking movement or create any fucking jittery. He's always right there to be hit. Guess fucking what? Nasruddin Imavov caught that motherfucker right on the button. In this situation, head movement wouldn't have fucking saved him, but it might have given him a little more opportunity and made it a little more difficult for Imavov to come in and just shut him the fuck down.
That literally shows the dude was garbage from day one. To be quite honest,
yeah.
Look, they brought him in on a fucking hype train from hell, and then the second it derailed, to be quite honest, I hope they give him fucking walking papers. I don't think he belongs here.
Well, the best part about it is that he lost twice in that fight because he got knocked the fuck out and made a flash recovery, but then got choked the fuck out for the actual finale of the match. So that's one of those situations where we talk about kind of like Kevin Holland, only but legal, where a dude got knocked the fuck out and choked the fuck out in the same match. So I have to say, of all the assholes that could have happened to, Shabazian is right up there at the top of me going, serves you fucking right. That being said, how you doing, new guy?
What's going on?
Not 11 o'clock yet, just as an FYI.
It's 11 o'clock my time, motherfuckers. That's what matters to me.
Look, if you didn't realize, this show is centered around Central Time. But
Yeah.
Fucking Eastern Standard Time doesn't matter. We go off of Central Time. Fuck your 11 o'clock where you're at. It's 10 o'clock here.
Yeah, but it's 11 o'clock in my world. It's 11 o'clock in my world.
Always living in the future.
And
So-
you're just living in my past, man.
I live in the moment, homie.
I'm
You
living
know,
in my moment.
guy being from the future, you figure you would have had a lot more wins on the pit already.
I know,
Or
right?
at least know how to make it here on time.
Oh shit.
Hey, I have to be at work on Thursdays. Okay.
I'm just saying it's a little weird that you live in the future, but apparently you're kind of like Bill and Ted. When you meet yourself in the future, you still can't tell yourself, hey, I'm not on fucking time at this point. Maybe when you go back to where you came from, you would show up on time.
Yeah, but I mean, I had to work today. It was Veterans Day. I had to work.
Oh, cry me a fucking river. I had to work too.
Dark out. I had a flat
Yeah.
tire. They were aliens.
Yeah, but like I just got home from work.
Bonus points for anybody who catches that reference, by the way. Anyhow. Following that ridiculous knockout / chokeout, Chris Curtis. You want to talk about a fucking drama story, a fucking storybook-esque trip to the octagon, very Glover Teixeira-esque, literally another 10 years in the making story. Chris Curtis has a rough go of his contender series opportunities trying to get here, finally gets to the UFC, gets matched up with Philip Hawes, another guy who has made his way through the ranks of the Ultimate Fighter into the UFC and is now trying to establish himself. And then Chris Curtis is like, nah, son, tonight is mine. Just absolute fucking devastating power. Just one of the cleanest fucking shots you see of a night of clean fucking shots. Hawes was absolutely on Queer Street, as they say, with wobbly fucking legs long before the actual fucking KO shot dropped his fucking ass. Curtis is fucking strong. The only issue we've got with that is that now he's ironically in the same position that Philip Hawes was in when he first got brought to the UFC, whereas his first big fight ends fairly quickly and nobody knows, like, can you carry this big power into the third round if you have to get there? How do you handle that power if you've got a guy who puts your ass immediately on the fucking ground and starts grinding the fuck on you? Can you carry that power from the bottom? Like, there's a lot of unanswered questions about that situation, much like Philip Hawes was. So I think the irony has been passed forward, if you will. But beautifully done, sir. Beautifully done. That being said, Rage and Al got fucking raged. Bobby Green looked like he was in the fucking Matrix Saturday night. He looked like normal Bobby Green tries to look, but successfully. The hands down bullshit worked. He was able to out time Al Iaquinta, step out and fucking very cleanly counter and hurt Al several times before it just ultimately got way fucking bad. And then he dropped his ass on a clean fucking shot. And I don't give a fuck what Al says. That was a good stoppage as well. You never like seeing a dude get fucking hurt, but you also hate to see when a dude gets dropped like that and then tries to play the I was good card when they show 9 slow motion instant replays of him very much not being good. And this is one of those situations. It's a good stoppage, man. Bobby Green just looked fucking absolutely spectacular Saturday night. And then had a very non-Bobby Green post-fight interview as well. A very normal interview, a very positive interview. It was kind of strange, the words that were actually coming out of his fucking mouth for a change. But, you know, hey, good on him, man. Good on him. Then we get to the premier prelim of the evening. Alex Pereira versus Andreas Mikulitas. I know that Mikulitas had to have done some homework going into this fight, so he knew, even if nothing else, just by hearing it through the UFC staff conversation, that he was fighting a world-class kickboxer, making his transition. I believe this was his 5th MMA fight into the world of MMA. And he got into a very phone boothy, kickboxy exchange with Pereira and thought that he was going to come out on the winning end of this fucking deal somehow. And then Pereira's like, you know what? We've played too much of this fucking knee game on the ground. Let's give you a Sabat flying knee, tiger knee, and just fucking, yeah! And it fucking landed. And it was all fucking over. You saw the fucking timber moment happen. It was one of those where you saw the commentators just go, oh, and then stop, because the first thing they want to say, they're not allowed to say.
Yeah, not at least until they get to the pay-per-view portion of it.
Right. Yeah. Not until you're into adult time. Yeah, for sure. Not this early in the card yet. No. I will say, Uncle Chael made a very valid point after this fight. This is kind of exactly the way that the UFC and most people following this storyline, I don't want to say wanted this to play out, but kind of thought that this was going to play out. The issue is that Mikulitas went in and played Pereira's game with him. Pereira's game is very knee and kick centric. He doesn't do a lot of striking. He's very heavy on his kicks, very heavy on his knees. If you go back and look at his kickboxing wins. Adesanya, on the other hand, was very much more of a ranged striker. So his style transitioned to MMA a lot easier than the guys who are more of the traditional Muay Thai, the Tiger Muay Thai, up close, everything phone booth style guys tend to transition over. That clench work will do you good in MMA, don't get me wrong. But if that's what you base your style around, it tends to be a lot more difficult to those guys. Look at Khalil Roundtree as a great example. That style in a phone booth will do wonders for you. But you get a guy with power and range and wrestling, and then that style is almost completely negated. That's what a lot of people are afraid of now might happen to Pereira. He's got such a knee, traditional, like actual Thailand Muay Thai style like that. If you get a guy who can take him down when he tries to throw those kicks and tries to throw those knees, if you can get a guy to put him on his ass, that could negate a lot of what his power will transition to in the MMA world. And he might not be nearly as successful as Izzy was over in the MMA world as he was in kickboxing. I think a lot of that is going to depend on who they match him up with next. Because don't get me wrong, the W will help. Your debut on a fucking premier prelim fight on a pay-per-view card, getting that knockout win, that helps. But sometimes in a situation where there's that much hype on a debut, your follow-up fight almost means more than the debut did. And I think this is one of those situations. This is kind of the way everybody, I don't think it was everybody wanted it to go, but everybody had a suspicion this is the way it was more than likely to go. So who they pair him up with next and how he handles that, I think is going to be a lot more telling on what we actually get to see from Pereira going forward. That being said, Izzy's already been out there and said, come get some, boy. Come get some. So we know for a fact that Izzy ain't fucking worried about that transition, kind of like we were talking about earlier. That being said, though, the actual pay-per-view portion of this UFC 268 pay-per-view portion. Props, I will say, they don't do this often, and I understand they don't have to often, but in this situation, they didn't have to, and they did. Props to the UFC for giving Trevor Whitman a little bit of fucking time, because they didn't realize until like Thursday, I think it was, that the way they had things sitting, he literally had the last 3 fights in a row, all his people. He literally wouldn't be able to make it to all 3 of those in time because of the in-ring and the after-ring processes and shit. So they bumped it up and they put Gaethje Chandler first, and then just left the co-main and the main as his 2, because those are the title fights. You kind of had to. So that being said, though, going into Gaethje versus Chandler, there wasn't a lot of mystery here. This wasn't a fight that people were surprised at how it played out or were shocked that it was two dudes who stood there and beat the absolute fucking shit out of each other, to the tune of Chandler getting 24 stitches to put his face back together. And the video is out there if you want to watch it. Boy, did they play him like a Pinocchio fucking doll, putting him back together. Oof. But Chandler basically said that he was tougher than Gaethje and he was going to prove it. And Gaethje said, bitch, you're going to shoot for a leg long before I ever fucking think about it. And if you do, I'm going to fucking pound you in the ground when you do. If not, I'm going to pound you in the ground on the feet. And Gaethje's a man of his word. He didn't worry about that fucking takedown. He stood there and he beat the fucking shit out of Michael Chandler for 3 very, very hard fucking rounds. It was not completely one-sided. To be fair, Chandler did land a couple of really good shots, but Chandler was headhunting the entire time, and it was very blatantly obvious. And it was almost amplified when he landed that one shot or that 1-2 shot, because those were the few that he landed. And then it almost went back to a complete polar opposite of Gaethje, just giving him the Max Holloway treatment, just putting the fucking volume on everything Gaethje let go landed on Michael Chandler, whether he hit him with full force or he hit him with barely any power and just hit him with 9 shots in a fucking row. Everything Gaethje was throwing just couldn't fucking miss Michael's face.
I will give Chandler credit in one aspect. He did leg kick the shit out of Justin Gaethje. The absolute and it went both ways. Both of their legs had to have been fucking hamburger by the end of the fucking fight.
Absolutely.
I mean, both
Gaethje actually did an interview today and talked about that with Brett Okamoto this afternoon and said that might be the hardest my legs have ever been hit in my entire career. And he says, I've done that to guys my entire career, and looking back, I kind of regret it because I know what I put his legs through, and I know I gave it to him worse than he gave it to me. And my legs are beat worse than I've ever had them in my entire career. And I don't wish this on anybody else. So that might have been a moment of awakening, if you will, in the leg kick game of Justin Gaethje. Because, yeah, he absolutely got the better of the leg exchange. He fucked Michael Chandler's legs up very badly, but Chandler was giving him back. And if he gave him back what he did enough to make Gaethje say something like that.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, though, because if he realizes it hurts that fucking bad, how much he's going to want to check kicks from now on, because he wasn't trying to check any of them by the look.
No, he did not have
any
interest
just fucking eating them. I'm
going, when I'm and fed one back.
Watching the replay, I'm like, Jesus, fuck, check a kick on both sides, neither one of them. I'm like, don't you guys at least know how to lift leg, turn your shin towards them, something, point a knee?
Just lean out.
I'm like,
you might as well just put a ruler in the middle of that octagon.
It was gnarly. I mean, I'll give them both credit. They're both tough as fucking nails because they both ate a lot of shots.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and Chandler's legs are already fucking questionable because what happened to him in the fight 6 months ago?
Yep.
His legs are already questionable because everybody knows he doesn't check leg kicks. So everybody knows that lead leg, as they saw in his second fight, I believe, for the UFC, that leg will give and those ankles will fucking fold.
Yeah, real quick.
So you want to implement that fucking leg kick. That's the man that'll fucking do it, because he's not going to fucking check him, and he'll fucking have that lead leg out there, miles out there, just waiting to be fucked up.
I also thought it was hilarious that I think it was like an hour after he got done getting his face stitched back together, Chandler was immediately calling out Conor McGregor. He said that I should be the welcome back to the UFC fight for Conor McGregor at this point.
I'm not mad at that call out, to be quite honest, because as far as Conor is falling off, why not? And to be quite honest, Chandler looks tough as nails considering how much he ate. Fuck it. Let it happen, because to be honest, I don't think Connor deserves any fucking great fights right now. And right now, that's a great fight for him, a Michael Chandler. And I'm not calling Michael Chandler a chump or anything, because obviously
Right.
he's fucking not at this point. Look, I
Right.
called him into question when he came into the UFC. I fucking said it. I'm like, they're hyping him way too much. He's not
He
going to hold up to the big boys.
definitely
but he
earned
has
some
held up
stripes.
pretty well.
He earned some stripes Saturday night, because I'm no fan of Mike Chandler. I never fucking was. I laughed when Benson Henderson laid him the fuck out and wrote the playbook on how to do it. I was not excited when the UFC brought him on board. I really wasn't excited that they put him into the immediate fucking backup and started him literally at the top of the fucking stack. But he absolutely did earn some stripes Saturday night. That being said, I still think if Connor comes back and is genuinely healthy and his leg is proper, he would fucking murder Mike Chandler. He really would.
And
He's
might.
too slow and he's too dumb. But
still.
I also still understand that realistically, as fucked up as it sounds, Poirier McGregor 4 will still sell more than anything else, especially if Dustin has the belt come April-ish.
I really hope they don't give him another shot at the title right away. He needs at least 3 wins, I think, in my personal opinion.
I agree. He definitely needs at least a good, solid Mike Chandler knockout or something like that. But I also have a feeling based on past history, if you will, prior experience watching the UFC play this fucking game with us, they very well could end up throwing us Poirier McGregor 4 for the belt April of next year. But
See,
we'll cross that fucked up bridge when we get to it. Because I promise you, we'll have plenty to say if they announce that. But I have to say, as excited as I was to see Shane Burgos versus Billy Q, I was not 100% convinced that he was going to be 100% back from that fucking crazy Barboza fight. That was a fucking stoppage unlike few we have ever fucking seen. One of the craziest delayed TKOs we have seen in the UFC period. Barboza now holds all kinds of crazy fucking records after that, but that's one that absolutely will fuck with your head. And Shane Burgos said it fucked with his head because his body just slow motion started to shut down. And by the time he realized that, you saw on his face, it was way too fucking late. And he fell backwards into that fucking fence. So I was very, very suspicious, I will say, of if he would be able to pull it back together, because Billy Q's a very competent dude. He's a very competent fucking fighter. He's no slouch by any stretch of the imagination. Again, maybe not a world breaker, but he's a tough out for anybody, for sure. And then Shane Burgos comes out and looks like that Barboza fight never fucking happened. He puts on a fucking 3-round striking clinic against Billy Q and just fucking works him and comes out looking still fresh and fucking clean, not a fucking scratch on him. Billy's face, on the other hand, just looked like your fucking typical fucking Mike Tyson's punch out between rounds animation, just plumped up fucking black and blue, not fun at all. Props to Shane Burgos for proving the world fucking wrong and showing that he is absolutely back on track and ready to start climbing back up that fucking ladder. So it's going to be very cool to see where he goes next, because Billy Q was no fucking slouch. So it's going to be a recognizable name going forward from here as well, where they end up giving him so I'm curious to see. It was a hell of a fucking job. He just couldn't quite get the finish, but damn if he wasn't fucking close. He had Billy wobbled a couple of good fucking times there. And then one of the craziest fucking fights of a card full of crazy fucking fights happened. Frankie Edgar versus Cheeto Vera was just fucking madhouse. Frankie is as persistent as fucking ever. Abso-fucking-lutely. The problem is that Cheeto was like a half step faster than him almost every single time they got into it. by the time Frankie was setting up, Cheeto had already seen him coming and had planted or had stepped off just a half step to the side. And by the time Frankie came through, he's swinging at air and Cheeto's fucking countering real clean, real fucking crisp. And then he got him. And I get that this is another one of those where you don't want to see a dude get hurt, but at the same time, when you get flatlined and then try and tell the referee I was good, it hurts. And I'm not going to be one of those to jump on that it's time for Frankie to hang him up bandwagon. I don't think that's the case at all. I think he got outworked by a younger, hungrier dude and got caught. I think there's still plenty left in the Frankie Edgar fucking tank, and I think there are still plenty of fucking great fights for him to have fucking very successfully. But I think a younger, hungrier dude was just a little bit faster than him on this night and got his fucking number. And Cheeto absolutely fucking did that, in my opinion. I don't think Cheeto looked spectacular by any stretch of the imagination. Round one was a very good example of how Cheeto was a very slow start in this fucking fight, and Frankie is not. We all know Frankie goes from the fucking bell. But as soon as Cheeto got his fucking timing down and got his footing underneath him and got engaged, as it were, it was all downhill from there. He just had the better of him. He was just a little faster everywhere they went. And the ground game is what surprised me. Frankie was almost content to stay in the guard game, whereas Cheeto was always working to either move or pass or try a submission or something fucking crazy. Like, Cheeto was so fucking active, whereas Frankie wanted to just wrestle to get to a stopping point, basically, and then be content in the guard. And you can't do that in the UFC, least of all against a fucking submission ninja like Cheeto. And Cheeto got him, man. Cheeto got him. I like I said, I'm not gonna jump on the Frankie should retire bandwagon, but at the same point, I'm also not going to say that was a significantly huge win for Cheeto either. I don't think that's like title shot launching for Cheeto. I definitely think he moves up the ranks with that, but that's not a let's get crazy kind of win. But I also don't think that's a Frankie should retire loss either. So,
I think Cheeto gets overlooked a lot too. And I don't mean by other fighters, but I mean as like the UFC in general looks at him. He gets overlooked a lot. He's a lot better than people think he is. I mean, prime example, yeah, you had a slow start, then you come in and finish Frankie Edgar. That's a fucking big fucking achievement.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Not many people can say they've finished Frankie. Not many at all. So, I mean, that's a big fucking achievement. And to be quite honest, he did it with class. Like,
yeah.
He went over, checked on him afterwards, and said, like, he even did, I forget who the hell he was interviewing with, but he's like, look, there was no hard feelings. Like, it's fucking fight game, man. He's like, said he wanted to fuck me up. So yeah, I flipped him bird. I wanted to fuck him up too, because we're going to fight.
He made a point to mention, because I think it was after the second round, when they separated, Cheeto gives Frankie double birds and says, fuck you, man, as he's walking away. And when they asked him about it, he says, no, there's absolutely nothing personal. Like, I have nothing but respect for Frankie Edgar, but this was a goddamn fight. And he told me he wanted to fuck me up. So I said, fuck you. Like, we were in the moment. That's how fucking fights work. We're done now. It's over. I got nothing but respect for Frankie. So, yeah, love for fucking Cheeto for sure, man.
Fucking amazing. I mean, the dude's just I just think he's highly overlooked in the UFC, which, to be quite honest, is a bad thing, because he's a pretty goddamn good fighter. Not to mention, he's outside of fighting. When he's not in a fight, he's legitimately a fucking amazing human being.
Well, when he's not commentating for the fucking UFC Spanish broadcast, that is, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of the fucking Spanish broadcast for the UFC, along with his buddy Brandon Moreno. So, go fucking figure. That being said, though, that will bring us to the co-main event for Saturday night. Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang 2. I don't want to say this is the curse that Rose is stuck with, but this is kind of the curse that Rose is stuck with. This is literally 3 different girls in a row now, where she has a first fight with them that goes very quickly and is very exciting. And then she has a second fight with them that goes to the decision, and she still wins anyway. She did it with Joanna. She beat Joanna technically by tapping the fucking strikes after she knocked Joanna the fuck out. Crazy fucking excitement. And then goes the distance with Joanna. Still fucking wins. She does it with Andrade, but Andrade get the fucking drop on her, quite literally. And then goes back to run it back with Andrade, runs the distance in it, and comes out winning. Now, Weili, the head kick heard around the world to make history and take her belt back, and now she runs it back with Weili, and guess fucking what? We go to decision, and Rose wins it. This is another one of those props to Weili. She absolutely landed some damn good shots in there, and she weathered the fucking storm, and she took some fucking big shots. But there was no point at that fight from the opening bell till the closing bell where for a second I felt like Weili was in control. At every point, Rose was outstepping her. She was outstriking her. She was out countering her. She was baiting Weili into shit. She was setting traps for her. Everything Rose was doing just was typical Rose Namajunas style, and Weili just could not compete with it. Rose just outstruck her, out fucking worked her, out everything her. Hashtag and still. Thug Rose, baby. Thug Rose. I agree 100% with both Rose and the media that at this point you kind of have to run back Carla Esparza versus Rose Namajunas. The girl who lost the inaugural fucking fight to Carla for the belt. Now the new champion, first woman in history to gain that belt back. Carla working her way back up to try and become the second by taking it from the woman she took it from to begin with. Like, there's story there, and Carla's absolutely earned it. Carla's been on a hell of a fucking tear as well. I don't give a fuck what Dana says. Whatever their quote unquote option is that he says they've got ready and lined up can fuck all the way off. I don't care who the fuck they've got planned, unless it's Carla Esparza, who he said it's not. I'm not interested at this point. I don't need another division in the UFC with somebody jumping the fucking line because Uncle Dana privilege. Like, I get that that's fucking Tony created, but you know what? It's fucking legit, and it's getting annoying at this point because it's a little fucking out of hand. So, Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza 2 for the fucking belt. Make it happen. I don't care fucking when next year, but that's the only thing I'm interested in next going forward. And I'm very happy to hear that Rose Namajunas feels the same fucking way. Unfortunately, that leaves us with no choice but to talk about the main event of the evening. Camaro Usman versus Colby Covington, to yet another rematch that wasn't really fucking warranted to begin with, but the UFC made anyways. I will say that this was a little bit more competitive than the first time that they fought, but in the other direction. In the first fight, I feel like Camaro Usman was a little bit hesitant and Colby Covington was a little bit over cocky, but his over cockiness worked in the first fight. It got him the opportunity to land several shots on Camaro that I think even Camaro didn't expect, and put him in some compromised positions that he definitely didn't have before. Whereas when we come into the rematch here, Camaro Usman came in with that untouchable fucking swagger, and just, you saw the gun shyness in Colby right out the gate. But at the same time, when Colby landed, he still landed with enough power to genuinely put Camaro in trouble that fucking quick. And he did a couple of different times. This is another one of those, despite some strange judging, I don't see a point in this fight where Colby was running the show. There were points where Colby was absolutely competitive. I will not dispute that at all. But Usman led that fucking dance the whole fucking way through, all the way. And he deserved to keep that belt. I'm a firm believer in if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man or woman, metaphorically, whatever. If you want to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. You can't fucking tie the champ. You can't show up on the same level as the champ. If you want that fucking belt, then you have to put out more than the champ did to take that fucking belt away. And Colby Covington didn't even do close to that. So absolutely, Marty from Nebraska keeps his belt. I don't think that Usman is the pound for pound greatest of all time. I don't think that he's the greatest welterweight ever. Strength of schedule being compared, I still don't think he's better than GSP. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan, but I have nothing against Usman, but they're overhyping what he has done based on who he has done it against. That being said, he brought the belt home again. So
Yeah,
I will say this.
don't have anything to
but
say about that fucking fight. Waste of time.
I was going to say that of any point, I think it's ironic that they do this on the pay-per-view, but this is one of the few times where I'm not mad that the UFC fucked around with the bonuses. We got a fight of the night, which is Gaethje versus Chandler, which absolutely that was fight of the night. That was fight of the month. That might be fight of the fucking year candidate, even though it was 3 fucking rounds. That was 3 of the hardest fucking rounds the UFC has put forth in any fucking division in 2021 for my fucking money. That was a great goddamn fight. So absolutely fight of the fucking night for that. But they also gave 4 performance of the night bonuses. Barnett, who absolutely fucking deserved it for that crazy fucking wheel kick. Bobby Green, absolutely. Pereira for the knee, I get it, in your debut. And then Cheeto Vera for the stoppage on Frankie. I can't really complain with any of that. This is one of the first times they have fucked around with bonuses where I'm like, yeah, no, that actually makes sense this time. That being said, we finally got the UFC 267 medical suspensions. A little weird, to say the least. Glover, they said popped his shoulder, 180-day suspension or cleared by a doctor. Jan Blachowicz, who got choked, 7-day suspension. Jan and Sandhagen both 30 days. Islam, 7 days. Dan Hooker, 7 days. Tabura, Volkov, Chimaev, Li Jing Liang, and Kalaev, Amanda Hebus, 7 days. Ozdemir, 45 days because he got cut. Yonderova, 30 days. Santos, Saint-Denis, Alexejek, Duraev, 180 days or cleared by a doctor. I almost feel a little cheated after having to wait that long for those weird fucking medical suspensions.
I think the Glover one is the strangest for me. Why 180 days? Look,
and then Jan, the mandatory 7.
Yeah,
Get choked the fuck out
and almost knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, like.
And I get it, Saint-Denis, that dude deserved all 180 days.
He's all 180 days for sure. That motherfucker earned his goddamn money.
Yeah, that some of those just don't make fucking sense. They do weird shit, man.
I agree. We didn't have a ton of fight announcements. We do have some fight announcements, but we almost have more fight cancellations than we have fight announcements this week, which I guess isn't the strangest thing in the world, but is a little odd that we're at that point at the end of the year now. Originally, Kevin Holland who got injured. And then Roman Dolidze versus Kyle Dawkins, originally set for this weekend, has now also been scrapped. Half of Roman Dolidze's team has got their Backstreet Boys tickets. Kyle Dawkins rather can't catch a break. I was very interested in that Kevin Holland fight. I was still kind of interested in the Roman Dolidze fight, but poor Dawkins just can't catch a fucking break, man. Next Saturday was originally going to be Cheyenne Bays versus Loma Lookboonmee. Cheyenne Bays also got herself a ticket to the Backstreet Boys. Ironically, though, making her third short notice appearance in a row, Lupe Godinez is stepping back in. Confirmed, signed, she'll be there. As long as she makes weight. I mean, good on you, but we also saw how that turned out the last time you took a short notice fight. The first one I get worked in your favor, but I don't know, man. I don't know. We will definitely talk more about it next week when we get a better idea of how she's looking coming into next weekend's fight for sure. But man, I don't know. I don't know about that chick taking all these fucking short notice fights. She's trying to out Angela Hill, but we'll get to her in a minute because yeah, she's on here too. Before we get to there though, TJ's birthday card getting even more fucked up. UFC 269 for December 11th. Originally we had Macy Barber taking on the newly discovered and recently rising Erin Blanchfield, who looked fucking spectacular in her last outing. But Macy Barber is busted. She is out. However, they have, on the other hand, picked back up and kept Erin Blanchfield on the card. Now, however, she will be facing Miranda Maverick December 11th. So still, a little about a month out, a month on the nuts out. So not a short notice change, but definitely a very, very different stylistic matchup than Macy Barber. Props to Blanchfield for being like, no, fuck it, we're doing this and staying on for both fighters. So we'll see. But as if we needed more bad news, the very highly anticipated Jorge Masvidal versus Leon Edwards fight is also officially off of UFC 269 suspiciously. I will say not that this was a must-see fight that everyone was clamoring had to happen. Obviously, it's been years in the making since the three-piece Minnesota incident, but I do find it extremely ironic that after the Saturday night card, when asked, what do you see next? Colby Covington said, I think it's time for me and Street Judas to run it back. I think you should just drop out of that Leon Edwards fight that nobody else wants to see you in anyways and take on me and get the real money going. And then literally just a couple days later, Jorge Masvidal with an undisclosed injury pulls out of the Leon Edwards fight. Not that it's right. Not that I'm saying it's justified. But this is absolutely the kind of backhanded bullshit the UFC would let slide through. I absolutely think the UFC would give them like January 22nd fucking fight night headline main event. You know what I mean? They're not getting a pay-per-view. That's not going to happen. They're not going to get a pay-per-view. But they might make that a fight night main event. Be interesting to see how that plays out going forward, though. Finally now, though, we do get into the not thrown off fights, but actual made fights. We do have some of those. The December 18th card, right after 269, excuse me. Diego Ferreira versus Mateus Gamrot, which I think is going to be fucking spectacular because we saw Gamrot just dismantle Jeremy fucking Stevens. Ferreira's had a rough run, but I think that's going to be a very interesting matchup. Very interesting matchup to look forward to coming up in the next couple of weeks. Also added to the 18th card, we got a trio here. Wonder Boy versus Bilal Muhammad. Wonder Boy, if you've been following his YouTube, has been hinting for a couple of weeks now that there was a potential fight in the works that he still couldn't mention anything about, but he had been offered and then he had been sent a contract for that he had signed, that he was all in on already. He was just waiting for the other party to agree to and then to be officiated so he could talk about it. And well, we got it. It's official. Wonder Boy versus Bilal Muhammad on that December 18th card, and I am fucking for it. I think Pereira versus Gamrot's going to be cool, but I think fucking Wonder Boy versus Muhammad is going to be a lot cooler. And that brings us to the other part, the trifecta of this December 8th or 18th rather card. Originally, we were going to see Nina Nunez versus Amanda Lemos, which would have been a pretty good fucking fight, in my opinion. We now have found out that there has been an undisclosed injury in the Nunez household, and Nina is officially out of that match, but stepping up on relatively short notice, as she is known to do, Angela Hill, of all people, to the surprise of no one, has stepped up to take on the Amanda Lemos match December 18th. So apparently the ladies' side of the house is a lot more willing to step up than the guys' side of the house is at this point. Whether that is proven to be a good thing or not, time will tell. As of right now, not so much. The ladies are definitely no cowboys when it comes to these short notice pickup fights. But, you know, hey, good on you for trying. We did get notice here. Kay Hansen versus Jasmine. Yep, that's the name. Originally fighting on the January the January 15th card. Now fighting at UFC 270, January 22nd card, a week later than they were originally going to be fighting. Apparently the UFC had a couple fights drop off the 270 card, offered the ladies to fight a week later and on pay-per-view, and they were like, yeah, of course. So still the same fight, just a week later, now on the pay-per-view. Good on you. February 12th for the UFC 271 pay-per-view card following that one. Orion Kochi will be welcoming the Israel Adesanya training partner, Mike the Blood Diamond, on the prelim card. And to the surprise of almost no one, the reason that he will be making his UFC debut on the 271 card is because they have also now confirmed officially UFC 271 will be headlined by Israel Adesanya versus Robert Whittaker 2 for the belt. So once again, Adesanya, much like he did with Quake, bringing in the boys from the camp, and they've been telling the world City Kickboxing is full of killers. Just wait till we start bringing them in. Well, we're at that fucking point now. We're at that fucking point. We got another one stepping in. So Rydell turned out to be a fucking madman. We know Hooker's from down in that neck of the woods. He's a madman as well. You got Volk from down there. Like, those fucking down under boys don't play, man. They don't play. So if Blood Diamond lives up to the hype, he's definitely going to add to a roster full of badasses. That being said, the week after 271, February 19th, we have a little bit of closure, if you will, as of right now. Poor Kyle Dawkins just could not catch a fucking break. Kevin Holland ended up getting out. Delidze, this whole fucking camp got them taken out. But the UFC did him right. They can't get him back on this weekend, obviously. But what they can do is they can get him on another card. So they've got him matched up for February 19th against one Cuban Missile Crisis, Julian Marquez, coming back off his deal with the Ronas. So that, I think, is going to be a very interesting matchup. I like Kyle Dawkins. I do not think he's going to fare well in that match, though. If the Cuban Missile Crisis is truly and well recovered, I don't think that matchup favors Dawkins very well. But we'll see as we get a little closer to February. There's a lot of time between now and then, so we'll see. Interesting piece of news. Randa Marcos, 11-year veteran of the UFC, has been opted to not renew her contract. We found out this week that her last match was the last match of her contract, and the UFC just simply opted to not offer her a contract renewal afterwards and let her step out of the rosters, much like they did with aluminum Mike Perry when his contract was up. They just didn't offer him a renewal and just let him go out about his business, how we ended up talking about him last week. The interesting thing is that in doing so, they also inadvertently made us talk about him this week, because much like last week, we had to talk about Mike Perry getting his contract for the deal with BKFC. Before he even gets into the ring with the BKFC, Aluminum Mike Perry will be stepping into the ring for the Triller Triad Combat Show, taking place in Arlington, Texas on November 27th. This card, with an undercard of mixed fights, will be headlined by a trio of MMA fighters taking on boxers. Headlined by Frank Mir taking on Kubrat Pulev. Co-main evented by Matt Mitrione taking on Alexander Flores. And then special main card event, aka People's co-main event, of Mike Perry versus Sakayo Bika. Now, these are not just your typical boxing rules. These are to be hosted under slight combat glove boxing with clinch rule set. No takedowns, no kicks, no knees. Clinch work is allowed, spinning strikes are allowed, and hammer fists are allowed. I'm very curious to see what the actual glove sizes are, or glove design rather, is going to be, but this promises to have all the shit show flavor that every other Triller event before it has had, with just bigger names attached this time. They have already said they are working on multiple different musical acts to take part during the show, because Triller shows are full on events and experiences, not just fights. So there is that. That being said, if you'll excuse me just a moment, I threw up in my mouth just a little bit saying that.
Oh, fucking Triller. That, look, I feel that Triller is getting to that age of where it's one of those ones we might have to vote on to not bring up here. I'm just saying. That causes me to throw up in my mouth too. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah. No, that nothing good will come of this card. Period. I don't give a fuck who their musical guest, I say with air quotes for those who be listening. I don't give a fuck who their musical guest ends up being. I genuinely do not fucking care. Nothing will make this anything more than a sad travesty of what it actually is, especially considering last week we had the actual final day of Fight Circus 3 banging for dollars, where we had an actual phone booth Lethway fight, an actual Siamese Taekwondo match, and a Burmese leg wrestling ladies competition take place. If you want to know how crazy fighting can actually be and be entertaining, go look up the highlights from Fight Circus 3. I promise you'll be entertained 100%. Triller events, not so much. That being said, though, that's the news and recent events that I have gotten. You guys have anything that I might have missed here?
I just have a question that I want to pose. With most of it all pulling out, what are your thoughts on Kamzat throwing his hat into the ring, trying to get Leon Edwards to fight him? Being is that was at one point a thing, and then that fell through. Shouldn't they just make it now as a backup? Because I mean, coming off of, hey boss, let me carry this big load over here and talk to you while I'm beating its ass.
Yeah, literally.
To be honest, if the UFC doesn't try to make that now that Kamzat wants it, I think they're doing a disservice to everyone.
I have a feeling that was immediately on standby as an offer. But I also feel like Leon knew that, which is why Leon has already released a statement that said that he's not going to take a substitution fight. Instead, he's going to take some family time, I say with air quotes, and then wait for Usman to be ready for his next title shot against Edwards, which I don't think there's a chance in hell of happening.
They
But
just give Kamzat the fucking title shot and say, fuck you, Leon Edwards, for being a cop.
That's what I was just going to say. The way that I look at it at this point, if that's the game that Leon wants to fucking play, when we saw what Kamzat just did, and Kamzat is quite clearly ready to step in tomorrow to fight anybody in that goddamn division, if they have any fucking brains between their collective skulls in that matchmaking office, they will write up a contract for Leon Edwards that says you either take the title shot or you take the fight versus Kamzat Chimaev, where you were supposed to originally fight Masvidal, or Kamzat Chimaev gets the next title shot and you're going on the fucking shelf.
Well, see, and that's the thing is Dana has publicly said before, people who don't take a backup fight, they lose all of their fucking warranty with him. Like,
yeah, you lose your credit, man. You lose your credibility with him. Dana has said several times, whether you win or lose, if you're willing to stay on when shit tries to take your fight off the card and they can find something for you, staying in when you didn't have to wins you more favor for him than turning down a backup fight.
Yeah, and to be quite honest, I expect them to do something with that, and I think releasing a statement or not, I think somebody's going to go into his ear and go, "Look, you got two options. Either you can sit on the shelf and not ever see a chance at a title shot, or you can take this fight and prove that you deserve the title shot." Because, look, if he takes the fight and he somehow beasts comes out, and I say somehow because right now the way comes out looks like, dude looks pretty much fucking untouchable, which is crazy.
Yeah, good luck. You'll earn your fucking dinner for sure if you can beat Kamzat right now.
Yeah, if he took that fight and beats Kamzat, yeah, dude, give the dude a fucking title shot because nobody's been able to touch Kamzat. And I'm not saying Kamzat's
I'd shut the fuck up. I would shut the fuck up about him for sure. If he fights Kamzat on that fucking day instead of Masvidal and beats Kamzat, yo, I'm pro Edwards at this point. I'm Team Leon until he gets that belt.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to say that. To be quite honest, I mean, the way that Kamzat came in, he deserves to be able to fucking fight him right now. He deserves every right to fight Leon Edwards. I mean, he just took out a fucking highly touted Li Yang, and that's nothing to shake fist at. There's a reason why he jumped up into the fucking 10 spot in the rankings just like that, and taking less punches in the process than he has fights in the UFC.
If you want to talk about an acceptable path on jumping your way up to a fucking title shot, being a person who has less times being hit than you have wins in the UFC is a good fucking way to do it.
Yeah, and what's funny is if we go back to his first fight, was 3 minutes. That dude had 3 fucking minutes where he could have at least hit him 4 fucking times, but did not.
Nothing.
And then his 2 following fights, fucking the dude has less than 1 round of experience in the UFC as far as total time in the cage.
Yeah, combined, yeah.
Which is fucking wild when you think about that. And like,
I was gonna say that's fucking crazy, especially considering this last weekend we had Frankie Edgar in there, who is now approaching 9 hours in the octagon in his UFC career. Think about that one. Frankie Edgar is approaching 9 hours of octagon time. Kamzat Chimaev still has not fought a full round and already has 4 victories and has not been hit 4 times.
I'm just saying, I think that as much as I hate to push the hype train there, I think that Kamzat hype train is fucking real at this point. Because I mean,
kind of established. It's not even really a hype train anymore. It's just a matter of like, How did he not get in the UFC sooner?
This is true.
He stepped up to every challenge they put in front of him, including this one, emphatically, like you said, literally carrying Li Jingliang over to Dana so he could talk to him while he smashed.
Yeah, it's just fucking wild to think that he was that with it to do that. Like, I mean, just fucking amazing. The dude's on fucking fire. I hope he goes that route because you know what? I mean, everybody in that division, if he stays on that route there, nobody has a fucking chance.
He's gonna leave a fucking wake of devastation in his path, man. He's just gonna leave bodies. I believe just about anybody they match him with at this point, he's fucking got the advantage so far. So it's gonna be interesting to see where they go for sure.
I mean, really, with fucking Khamzat, that right there could quite literally be a runner-up in maybe 5 years for the pound for pound best. With if he continues the fucking trajectory that he has been going, he could have fucking like no fucking doubts of being a pound for pound best fighter out of the fucking UFC.
Although I will say, I have to give credit, probably overall, in my opinion, most intelligent use of the spotlight goes to Ian Gary. Not for his in-fight or his in-octagon interview, not for his post-fight interview, because at about 2:00 in the morning, Sunday morning, Ian Gary tweeted, "Just you watch, 2022, it's going to be me and Khamzat fighting for the welterweight belt." All you guys want to sit on the sidelines and you want to bitch and you want to play politics, cool. Me and Khamzat are here to smash, bro. We're going to fight everybody and anybody on the way up. And if you guys want to keep on the sidelines, cool. We'll fight for the belt while you guys bicker.
What a way to get your fucking name out there after a fucking
right. Latch right on. Use that same fucking get in there and get it done strategy. Like, you boys better quit fucking around.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is you boys at the top better quit fucking around.
It's wild because you got those guys like Khamzat there that want to just keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting. You got other guys who are like, whatever, I'll sit on the shelf for 6 months. Fucking I don't care. Who aren't actively out there looking. I'm like, the UFC, they're going to start pulling in some different kind of fighters if that shit keeps happening. Because you think us getting we have five, including this weekend's left, means for the next 8 weeks, we're going to get like 2 or 3 weeks off where we don't have a UFC card, which is great. It's not great because I want to watch them every weekend, but at the same time, I get an extra day of sleep a couple weeks here, which is great. But still, they bring in more fighters like that. We might get 2 fights a week. They might have to go to a Friday schedule. Right. Or a Wednesday night schedule or something. You bring in those kind of fighters who want to just keep fighting, it's going to force those other guys on the roster to go, oh shit, if I really want to stay in talks or have my name out there, I'm going to have to fight a lot.
Fuck, wasn't it Khamzat that fucking sat on Fight Island the first run around?
Yes. He stayed on Fight Island and caught a fight on the next go around like 2 weeks later.
Yep.
At a different weight class.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember if that was him or one of the other guys because that.
Yeah, because he made his debut on short notice anyway at middleweight.
Yeah.
And then was like, this is not even my weight class. Wait till I can do my thing. And then stayed on Fight Island and took the short notice fight 2 weeks later at welterweight and was like, this is my weight class and made weight. And it was like, this is where I smash. Clearly, quite fucking clearly. So yeah, that dude's going to be a big fucking threat. That being said though, this is the point where the audio only listeners are going to miss that sweet, beautiful gift that rolls across the screen that tenaciously and evilly lets you know this is the moment where we cross the show over into the pit. This is where we turn our little end of the show portion into a nice, friendly, competitive, banterish game, if you will, a kind of back and forth, if you will, a way to talk about our most excited and least excited things and make it a little bit contiguous, if you will. So this weekend, not only do we have Saturday night, the UFC Vegas 43 Holloway versus Rodriguez card, which is going to be pretty fucking beautiful in my opinion. We also have a double feature going on tomorrow evening in the Bellator 271 card and the BKFC 22 card, both taking place tomorrow evening. So, gentlemen, our first question, in the traditional vein that it usually is, of the menagerie of combat sports we have over this weekend, which of these do you feel has the best co-main event for people to tune into? TJ, being the returning champion here, we will let you have this one first, sir.
Well, oh, there we go. I was all muted up. I was getting ready to talk. Here you go. Look, to be quite honest, the co-main events across the board aren't that great. However, there's one that stands out that I'm willing to watch, that I want to watch, and that's going to be Palomino and Win, because I hope Win gets his shit kicked in, because that mouthy little Asian cocksucker decides that, I'm going to win a title, and I say win loosely, and then I'm going to vacate it, and then try to come back and reclaim. Fuck you. Fuck you right in your sorry ass. I hope Palomino fucks you up so goddamn bad that you can't see straight for a year. That's the only one worth watching, strictly for that fucking reason. Go tune into BKFC tomorrow night on that.
I can definitely agree with that. I do think it's a little weird the way they had Datwin win, I say with air quotes for those listening, the fight against Bedford, which I clearly don't think he won to begin with, and then drop his contract because he didn't like how much he was getting paid, but then re-sign later for an undisclosed amount and then get an immediate title shot at 55. So yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed if Palomino just beat the brakes off of his little ass. And I'm not a real big fan of Palomino to begin with either. But in this situation, I'm openly willing to root for him to just beat the shit out of Dat Win, because I really don't like Dat Win that fucking much. That being said, though, RJ, we got a trifecta of big time, I say with air quotes, co-main events this weekend. Which one do you feel is going to be the better for folks to tune into?
All right. So I quite literally have an answer that's going to shake it the fuck up real quick. Quite literally fucking all of them. Whenever you look at it, the co-main for the UFC card, Ben Rothwell, DeLima, stats and numbers, they are neck and neck fucking identical. The only difference is one is kind of fucking hungry because DeLima has been showing the fuck out lately. And you have somebody like a Ben Rothwell that has fight IQ like a motherfucker that can look and pick apart what DeLima's going to do. But DeLima's just a little bit fucking faster than what Rothwell is. So that's going to shake some shit the fuck up. Bellator's card, the fucking Fortune Vassal fight. Again, same circumstances. You have Vassal, who's been kind of on the fence, 1-2, lost 2. He's going back and forth, but he always shows up to fight and delivers. Win, lose, or draw, he fucking delivers. He's going up against Fortune. Is ever since that man stepped into fucking Bellator, he's just been fucking non-stop. You have to put his ass to sleep to get the fucking W. The BKFC, like TJ said, that fight's is going to be fucking pretty good. Both of them are decent fighters. Palomino, much more than Nuinez. But for the title, one of them is walking out of that fucked up and with a 1 next to their name because they're both undefeated fighters. Quite literally, all of them bring some type of fucking heat to the card.
Very good answer. Very good answer indeed. I gotta say, obviously, I am super excited to see hopefully Datwin get his shit pushed in. But kudos to hitting the nail on the head there. My personal co-main event of the three is absolutely the Bellator card, because as much as Tyrell Fortune might be hyped, big fucking swarm, baby. Big fucking swarm. LDV all fucking day. He's going to beat the shit out of Tyrell Fortune and show that Henry Hoof fucking style, that Sanford MMA goodness over in fucking Bellator. I do agree that UFC, as much as DeLima might not be a household name, he has been showing up to wreck shit lately, and Ben Rothwell seems to be back on track. So that's going to be a fun one as well. So as much as I was leaning towards TJ initially, I have got to give the point to the young guy here for dotting his I's and crossing his T's on round one. Opening strong, RJ, opening strong. So we'll see if he can follow up on that, because round two, as we like to do, same vein, different version of the trio of combat cards we have got this weekend. Who has put together the best main event for people to tune into? RJ, you get this one first. You've got a minute, sir.
Quite literally, I think they're all fucking trash. You have Max Holloway fighting Yair Rodriguez, who is a very good fighter, but he is no fucking competition for Max Holloway. You have the fucking BKFC fight, which that's really not that exciting. Both of them are decent. There's not a fucking draw out of that. And then you have the trash that is the Bellator fight, fucking Cyborg fighting somebody that literally Cyborg had more fights in 1 year than this person has as a fucking record. 23-2 versus 7-4. Cyborg had more fights in 1 year than that person has had at all being a professional. I think they're all fucking trash. Scrap every fucking main event. They're all shit.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Polarizing to his last answer, if you will. So that brings it back over to you, Mr. Golf T. Of the trio of combat cards we have got worth talking about in our opinions here, who do you feel has the better main event this weekend?
I will agree with RJ on one point. Bellator, fuck right off. Nobody gives a fuck when you're going to put Cyborg against some girl you found on a street corner who was willing to suck dick for coke last month, and now she's going to fight. Here's where I disagree highly. Look, UFC might not have the best matchup, but you get a chance to watch fucking Max Blessed Holloway go in there and possibly outdo his striking numbers from his previous fight, which, to be quite honest, if that fucking happens, my head will probably explode. Yair Lucky Elbow Rodriguez, I won't even call him his normal nickname because that's all he'll forever be known to by me. Doesn't stand a fucking goddamn chance in hell, not with the peppering that he's going to catch over 5 rounds. But the fight of the fucking weekend you should be watching is going to be the LombardVsHunt. If anybody in their fucking right mind was lucky enough to watch the fucking press conference that they had, this is worth every fucking penny. The heat coming into this is fucking real. Look, they might not be the best fighters out there, but Lombard is going to fucking throw some bad fucking hands with some bad intentions after that Hunt showing his fucking ass. I'm telling you, there's some heat between these two. It's well worth watching just to see how it plays out over those 5 rounds.
Yeah, I am very much inclined to agree. As interesting as it might be to see Max possibly put another benchmark on his fucking record status, I'm honestly not that excited to see him fight Yair. I'm really not. If this is the hoop they're going to make Max jump to get another fucking title shot, Max is going to jump through that hoop, but he's going to look like a fucking stud doing it. And I don't anticipate anything in Yair's game to give us any reason to think otherwise. But I am absolutely intrigued with the fucking Lombard versus Hunt main event here. I will say this. Hunt can eat a shot, and that's done him very well because he's made a habit of putting himself in a position to eat one unanswered several times leading up to this fucking fight. So I really hope that stride holds true, because I tell you what, Hector's gonna fucking put it on him, especially after the fucking tantrum that he threw running the fucking press conference today. That's some shit that even Connor would never have fucking done. Like, that was some straight up petty bullshit, and I kind of hope that Hector punishes him for it. So I do agree there. I am going to give round 2's point to Gofty. While they might not all be spectacular, that one alone I feel is definitely the best of the fucking weekend, and worth tuning in for one way or another. So that will bring us to our round 3 question here. With 3 full cards, there is obviously going to be something that gets lost in translation, slipping through the cracks, as it were, during the promotion week. So I ask you, gentlemen, what do you feel is the dark horse fight of the weekend? The fight that just no one is talking about, and it doesn't make any goddamn sense because it's going to be spectacular. So, Gofty, we will give this one to you first, sir.
So goddamn mute. Well, to be quite honest, I am gonna go to the UFC card for this one because I have not heard a fucking lick about this fight, and I don't know why. And since it's on the fucking main card, has nobody seen the fucking Sung Yadong and Julio Arce on there? Did I fucking miss something? Was it just not newsworthy, or was it not worth putting out there? Just saying. That has fucking fireworks written all over it. I mean, look, if there's something we have learned, anybody coming out of China lately is going to put up a fucking hell of a fight. That there's something in the water over there right now that is making fighters want to go fucking ham. And I fucking love it. I want to see more of it. And why, when this guy's ranked, he's ranked, fucking ranked 15. They're not talking about him. They're not giving him any any love at all. And Julio definitely is not getting the fucking love. But look, the dude has some fucking legitimate fucking power on him. There is a possibility of him knocking out old fucking Sung Yadong there and shaking up that fucking division at bantamweight. Just saying, there is a possibility there. It's worth the watch. Why is it not being talked about? It should be. There is some implications in the bantamweight division. Might not be towards top of the stack, but it can mix some shit up a little bit there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can absolutely see that. I can absolutely see that. So that throws it back over to you, sir. RJ, of these menagerie of cards, we've got surely one of these fights you think has slipped through the cracks and just not gotten the promotion it deserves. So what is your dark horse fight of the weekend, sir?
I am in 100% absolute agreement with TJ on the Sung Yadong RC fight, but I'm talking a big butt. The only person that's being slept on in this is Yadong. RC's a 50-50 fighter in the UFC right now. loses, wins, loses, wins, loses, wins every single time. If that's how you're going to make your statement in the UFC, you're not going to do that fucking well, bud. Yadong quite literally has only lost one fight in UFC against Phillips. One. He came back from that and like nothing ever fucking happened. Kept on going and took that loss, a decision loss, like a fucking champ. What showed fucking showmanship, sportsmanship, and so much fucking class taking that L. Yadong has he put away fucking Cheeto. He won his fight with Cheeto. That's a fucking 1.5. If I've ever fucking seen one, he is the dark horse, not the fight itself. Because RC, that's a 500 fighter.
I gotta say, both of you make valid points here. I will say, I agree with RJ more on this side here. I am going to give round 3 to RJ here, and I'll tell you why. I do agree this fight overall is absolutely being slept on, but it is absolutely more so being slept on the side of Song Yadong. If you go to the UFC's Instagram page, they're doing this weird little micro series called In the Corner, where it's almost like a mini embedded with just one fighter. They chose the UFC's greatest actor to be their first person to do the In the Corner of, and I'm not sure why. But this week, their In the Corner series has been none other than Julio Arce. I believe it's either 2 or 3 little episodes about him. Ironically, though, not a fucking word about Song Yadong. No highlights, no rise of, no nothing. Nothing whatsoever. They're openly promoting Julio Arce and not a fucking word about the guy that he's fighting, who is legitimately one, in my opinion, the most dangerous prospects at 135 pounds. So yeah, I absolutely give round 3 here. We're going to give that point to RJ. So that'll bring us to round 4. And in that same kind of theme that we like to run with here, we've got 3 cards this weekend, and that's a lot of fights. In the exact example that we just talked about, the organizations will tend to hyper focus on some of these more than others. So on the flip side of that dark horse fight, one of these has just been completely over fucking blown for no goddamn reason. So I want to know, in your opinion, which one of these is the most overhyped fight of the weekend? The one that just doesn't deserve it, but they can't stop fucking talking about it. RJ, we're going to let you have this one first, sir.
All right. I'm also going to shake it up once again because there are 2. One on the UFC side, one on Bellator side. That is, I've seen it on social media getting a whole lot of press, and they really don't deserve it. You have Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez. Everybody's talking about, oh, Max Holloway, he has an opportunity to break his record again. That's exciting if you do it fucking twice. How many times has a man fucking broken his record? It's not that fucking exciting anymore. He's fighting somebody that is leagues below him in level and just levels. He's leagues below him. 20,000 leagues under the sea type under. And then the Bellator side, the fucking I can't remember how to say the fucker's name. Maori Cleveland fight. Everybody's talking about that on fucking Bellator. You have somebody who is undefeated, Maori 8-0. Then you have Cleveland 19-13. Where's the hype in that? You are beyond a 500 fighter. You carry no hype to your fucking name. The second you get like 19-8, you start losing your fucking hype really quick. And he's on a 4-fight fucking skid. That's really struggling to see where that fucking hype is at.
Very fair point. Very fair point. So that'll bring us over to you, Golf T. of the menagerie of cards here, which one do you feel is just getting so much fucking hype it doesn't deserve that they just can't stop talking about it?
You know, I'm pretty glad to watch RJ swing for the fences there on a just lofted pitch that he could have absolutely plastered out of the fucking park, but instead fucking whiffed majorly, took the fucking walk. I'll give you a walk because there was some good points in there, but you definitely could have hit a home run on that. No, where you really fucked up here was two of the most overhyped women's flyweights in the fucking goddamn world. Cynthia Calvillo and Andrea Lee. Can we say overhyped as fuck? Look, Calvillo just came off a fucking knockout loss, and Lee is getting way more credit than she's due. She is fucking meh at best. Don't get me wrong. She beat a Shevchenko sister, but not the one who's fucking great. She also got herself fucking beat up by Modafferi. So she's meh at best. Calvillo, meh at best. Both of these girls, way the fuck overhyped, and they've been talking about this fight more than I would like to fucking hear for the next 12 years. To be quite honest, useless. There's a reason why it's on the fucking undercard of this, and you have a fucking unranked co-main event. It's fucking terrible, but yet they're still talking about it. RJ, I think you missed the fucking posts here.
I missed the post. Both the fights I talked about were both main carders. The fight you talked about is a prelim, not even the premier prelim. That carries zero weight because they are shit fighters.
Well, and both of them are still way more overhyped than ones you fucking talked about. That's all I'm saying. You can't say Max Holloway's overhyped because he's not.
But the hype train behind just breaking another fucking record that he's done 19 times, that's overhyped because that's not that exciting. At this point, he's done it. He's done it so many times.
I will say, though, I do agree in this situation with TJ. We are giving the point for round 4 to TJ, but to be fair, you both missed the tee up on this one. And the fact that Bellator, after a majorly disappointing hometown Dublin card, is now headlining their next pay-per-view card with a fucking cyborg fight. For my money, that is the most overhyped fight of the weekend. Max's fight may still be entertaining, even if it's not anything surprising. There is nothing really to get you excited about in a cyborg fight, but they cannot shut the fuck up about it. So
maybe it's I just don't watch enough Bellator previews. That might be my problem, where I don't see it as overhyped because we all know what's going to happen with that. So
yeah, that could be as well. Because it's going to be sad.
I think their entire fucking run at hyping that up is, it's a former UFC champion, now Bellator women's champion. There's some weight there. You can hype that side of her up because she was a legitimate fucking champion in the UFC and a legitimate champion in Bellator because she had a good fight to get that belt. That's the only shit you can hype up on Cyborg. And that's fucking kicking somebody while they're down, saying that's an overhyped fight, because regardless who they fucking put her up against, that's overhyped. You can pick anybody from any fucking promotion across the world. That's still overhyped.
Well, unless it's Amanda Nunes.
Nah, still overhyped.
To a degree, I say. But that will make it, for those of you math majors keeping along, a tie game, bringing us to the tiebreaker, winner take all point of doom round 5 question. So, gentlemen, with a trio of cards to watch this weekend, BKFC and Bellator going down tomorrow night, and then UFC back in Vegas Saturday night, of the 3 cards to look forward to, which of them gives the viewers the best value to pay for? Golfy, being the returning champion here, we will give you the champion's prerogative. You can either take this question first or pass it to the new guy.
I'll take this one. I'm gonna make it short, sweet, and to the point. We had a very similar question to this a couple of weeks ago. So, which of these venues gives you your most bang for your buck? If you would have listened to me then, you would have already signed up for a UFC on ESPN Plus, and you'd be getting this right now for free. There you fucking have it.
Valid point. Valid point. Can't argue with that at all. So, RJ,
All right.
that brings it back over to you, sir.
Let me ask you one question. How much because I don't fucking watch Bellator's fights. I don't watch BKFC that much as near as I fucking want to. How much is BKFC? How much is Bellator?
BKFC is $49.99. Bellator is where the fuck did I just see that?
Because I've the last time I watched a Bellator fight was probably like 5 years ago. At least before they went on to like pay-per-view like status shit. I used to watch them back when they were.
Has since they are now on Showtime, it is not a pay-per-view per se. I say in air quotes. They are on the Showtime app, which is $10.99 a month now. So it's kind of like the ESPN Plus of Showtime for Bellator in that same vein.
So for BKFC, you're paying $25 a piece for the championship fights. You're literally dumping all of that money just to watch Cyborg, and you can go over to UFC and watch a couple really good fights. The Thiago Moses fight, that's the premier prelim fight. That's going to be a really good one. I think that'll be a pretty good fucking fight for the money. The Miguel Baeza, Chaos Williams, that'd be a decent fight for the money. Of course, Song Yadong, him in of himself, that's far worth that sort of money. And the heavyweight fight, Ben Rothwell, the Lima, that's a pretty good fight too. And then the Holloway fight, his name carries that price. That's a pretty good stack up on UFC. Do I want to pay $10 to watch Cyborg, or do I want to pay $25 a piece just to watch two championship fights on BKFC? Because BKFC is all nobody's 0-1s, 3-0s versus debut fighters. UFC, you have 6 good fights that you're paying that money for.
Interesting. I got to agree here. I think after add everything up, carrying the one, round 5 here, the winner take all decision. The point goes to RJ. We've got an upset here. I do agree with TJ. Had you signed up when you gave the answer for ESPN Plus being the better answer, they would be getting this card for free. But RJ did give us more detail as to why it's worth the value. So we got to give it to the kid here. So he does come out the winner on this particular episode of The Pit. Well done, sir. That being said, that is all we've got for this particular episode of the show. So before we get the fuck on out of here, if folks need to get themselves some directions on where to get the tastiest cheese curds in Wisconsin, no sense in getting directions this weekend. We know that the Crippler is going to be at Vegas, but if they need a little more TJ in their lives after the show, how can they get a hold of you, sir?
Wednesday nights, right here, 9:30 Central Time on the YouTubes, and of course here every Thursday that I can possibly be. And, catch me on the Instagram, shoot me a message there. But yeah, it's a good time. Congratulations. Now you have something to lay your head on there for 1 week, RJ. I'm kind of glad I fed you that one there at the end, because, nicest thing I can do to maybe teach you to be on time is by here, take this offering to let you know you must be here on time. So next week, I can rip it away from you and then slap you upside the head with it.
I know. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciate it.
And one more thing being as it is still Veterans Day. Thank you to all past, present, and future service members for their service. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. That being said, though, if somebody needs to figure out the training routine that is going to get them to new guy championship status in the shadow of the RJ regime, how can they get a hold of you after the show, new guy?
You can always hit me over there directly on Instagram at RJMMA Official. Our Discord page, you can always contact any one of us over there. You can also go over to our fan Q&A segment, drop some questions over there. They'll be answered live on the broadcast. You can make a direct question to a person in particular or to the broadcast as a whole. The Instagram Discord has been rolling down at the bottom of the screen the entire time. You can also go over to Discord and look at all news and recent events that don't get brought up during this show. You can also always throw some stuff that you've seen in there on the news and recent events page. Go over to anchor.fm/I'm No Joe for your podcast consumption platform of your choice. All of our information is over there at anchor.fm as well. And I'll get it right this week. Our Reddit, which is also down below in the link in the description, because I was not made aware last week that we got a Reddit. You can always go over there to the I'm No Joe Discord. Fuck me, RJ. The I'm No Joe Reddit. I'm fucking myself up now. Yeah. Go over to our Reddit, join our Reddit, and you can post some hilarious RJ fucking up memes, because that would be gold. But yeah, I think that's it.
I think the judges might have fucked up tonight.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Definitely calling the commission into question for sure. That being said, I do want to thank everybody, whether you're tuning in with us live, we appreciate you guys, or whether you're catching us on a replay, we appreciate each and every one of you just the same. If you enjoy what we do around here, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe notification bell so you don't miss an episode, whatever platform you're on. You can catch us live Thursday nights, 9:30-ish Central Time. We live in the present. Over on YouTube/I'm No Joe. If you want to hear us without the visual distractions, the audio version of the show is available on your podcast consumption platform of choice through anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. If you want to contribute to what we do around here, patreon.com/I'm No Joe gives you access to the behind the scenes, the unaired, and the literally unairable footage that we've got from some of the shit that has went down over here. And it just helps us do what we do. That being said, if you like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate it. If you don't like what we're doing, why the fuck are you still here? Just give us the thumbs down and move on already. That being said, we're going to call it all for this particular episode. So until next time, folks, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless it's Odell Beckham Jr. going to the Chiefs.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what